his pitch count, walked out to take him out of the game.
There's not a whole lot of
Scherzer
psychopath energy left. Now it's just him being a good player. All the psychopath shit was front-loaded. Yeah, he definitely does look the part. That looks like the kind of man you'd see in jail and just run away from. He's probably killed someone. Biggest psychopath in sports.
Max Scherzer is one of the best pitchers in baseball. He also may be a legitimate psychopath.
I felt zero pain tonight.
He once made a friend sign a non-disclosure agreement to watch one of his practice sessions. His catcher once stopped the game and proposed an unfair fantasy football trade to purposely make him mad. Scherzer cursed him out and began throwing 3 miles per hour faster. His college coach says that Scherzer met him after a game ready to fight him after being benched. In the majors, he cursed out his own manager for congratulating him for pitching well. He's had verbal altercations with a teammate during a game, with an opposing manager.
This sounds like a miserable guy to be around.
Berated his own managers while they were trying to take him out of the game in college, the minors, and multiple times in the major leagues. He basically almost died on the mound and kept pitching. He broke his nose, got a massive black eye, and also kept pitching. And a few days after a neck injury prevented him from putting on his own shirt, he pitched in Game 7 of the World Series. And while in the major leagues, at one point, Scherzer's own family had serious concerns over his mental well-being. Some think
so. Then he went and yelled at them.
Extreme competitiveness, but according to others, Max Scherzer is legitimately crazy.
I've never heard of him before. Is he any good? I'm not a big baseball guy, so I don't know why I would have heard of him.
Is motivated above all else by power.
Thank you, Skrilla.
Life is a chess game.
Pancake for me, Kevin.
They are going to win.
In college, one of Max Scherzer's coaches said that Scherzer was so out of his mind, he was essentially a quote-unquote cartoon character. Eat 3 Chipotle burritos in one sitting. He not only did this, he did it while loading them up with toppings.
He seems young.
Today, Scherzer says that he eats a sandwich with over a half pound of roast beef on it before every start. DCEater.com estimates he ate over 92 pounds of meat during his time in Washington. His teammates say in college he would grunt, snarl, and talk to himself while pitching during fall ball games.
He does look like an actual psychopath, like a lunatic.
Match after a long at-bat. This is during a practice game against his own team. So while in the weight room, he would constantly yell 100 as loud as he could throughout his workout.
Good.
And his bullpen
Let him know he means business.
Even more insane.
Let him know who the boss
Max
is.
Scherzer does his bullpens in full uniform to simulate a real game as close as possible, no matter what, even on days he isn't pitching. David Price once asked Scherzer if he could watch his bullpen session, and Scherzer allowed him to, but made him sign a non-disclosure agreement so he wouldn't give away any of his secrets. He could have played catch anywhere, but he likes doing it on the field, and a graduation ceremony wasn't going to stop him.
Is that even like useful practice?
In college, his teammates
that's some like Sigma male shit,
at himself for making bad
pitches
pitches during bullpens, and had a pitch called fastball extra, where he would just scream the word juice as loud as he could and throw a regular fastball 4 to 5 miles per hour faster. His college teammates still call him Juice to this day. The next year, he led the conference in ERA, strikeouts, won Big 12 Player of the Year, and set a Missouri record for strikeouts. And his intensity got even worse. During a game against Nebraska, Scherzer refused to come out of the game in the 8th inning. After striking out the first 2 batters in the 9th, his manager
He's just very competitive.
Scherzer screamed at him
like
before
crazy
he said
eyes.
anything, saying that he is finishing the game no matter what. He struck out the last batter and Missouri won. But in his senior year, Scherzer ran into some controversy. While rushing to play video games, Scherzer accidentally slammed his door on his finger. He continued to pitch with the hurt finger and developed tendonitis in his bicep. He still pitched great, but a drop in velocity had many people worried. And when the Arizona Diamondbacks drafted him 11th overall, many people were skeptical, including people within the organization. They offered him way less money than he expected and signed a contract only minutes before the deadline, which would have made him a free agent. And this only motivated Scherzer to go even crazier. After only 1 year of dominating the minor leagues, he was called up to the majors, where he set an MLB record for consecutive batters retired for a debut relief appearance. However, the next season, almost all of his stats regressed, and the Diamondbacks, who were skeptical that he could stay healthy, traded him to the Detroit Tigers in a 3-way trade, which turned out to be a massive mistake. His first 2 seasons with the Tigers were average.
Tell me more about him
best,
being
but
a
in
psychopath. I don't really care about the
something happened
stats.
to Scherzer that changed his life forever. It turned him from
killed
an
a man?
average pitcher to one of the best in baseball. But this tragic event affected Scherzer so much that his family says they had serious concerns over his mental well-being. On June 20th, 2012, Max's brother Alex tragically took his own life. Scherzer immediately left the team to be with his family. Only a day after his brother's death, Scherzer decided it was best for him to leave and make his start that was scheduled the next day, saying that it was the one thing he could offer to his family to help them heal. Scherzer got on a plane and went to Pittsburgh.
Holy
Leading
shit.
up to the game with his family in the stands, Scherzer broke down and cried in his manager's office, and throughout warm-ups could only concentrate on his brother, but nonetheless was committed to pitching. Scherzer threw 6 innings, giving up 3 runs and a loss. When he got back into the dugout, he broke down again, saying that he had never been so exhausted in his entire life. But Scherzer says he knew that if he wanted to be at his best, he couldn't be emotionally wrecked when he took the mound. So he made
That's when he sold his
when it came
soul.
to pitching, he could have no distractions. According to his parents, Max stopped talking about his brother altogether and was changing the subject every time he came up. But in Max's head, he only had room to focus on one thing: becoming the best pitcher on the planet. Before that start, Scherzer had an ERA above a 5. From that point on, Scherzer put up a 2.72 ERA and ended up leading the league in strikeouts per 9.
This is
helping
just
the
his
Tigers
character
win the
arc?
division, where in the playoffs he dominated and took the Tigers to the World Series. And the next year was even more impressive. Scherzer set a Tigers record for starting.
This just sounds like a man with a really
made his
unhealthy
first All-Star team,
obsession.
led the
Well,
league in
unhealthy,
whip,
wrong
and won
word.
his first ever Cy
Handles
Young
things
award.
unhealthily.
He also took his intensity to a whole new level. According to Alex Avila, one game he noticed Scherzer wasn't pitching with his usual tenacity, so he called a mound visit and purposely offered Scherzer an unfair fantasy
ERA's
football
earned
trade.
run
Scherzer
average.
got mad, yelled at him, and ended up pitching 7 innings, earning himself his 9th straight win. Scherzer would pitch one more season with the Tigers. He was an All-Star, finished 5th in Cy Young voting, and earned himself a 7-year, $210 million contract with the Washington Nationals, where he became arguably the best pitcher in the league and the most intense by far. Scherzer yelled at teammates, yelled at opposing managers, yelled at his own managers, and even yelled and snarled to himself while on the mound. For most players, this would come off as extremely disrespectful, but Scherzer is not most players. In 2015, Scherzer led the league in complete games, shutouts, and strikeout to walk ratio. Against the Brewers, he pitched a complete game with 16 strikeouts, but was mad
baseball
because
money
he was
is
one hit away
crazy.
from a no-hitter. So his very next
I don't even know how baseball makes
he
money.
did throw a no-hitter.
Like, no one
Later
fucking
in the
watches
season,
baseball
he
anymore
threw
that I
a
know.
second no-hitter and was literally one strike away from a perfect
Even
game
like all of my
until
like
Jose
sports fan
Tavera
friends
did
laugh
this.
at baseball. I don't know how they have that kind of money.
Did it hit him? And that's it for the perfect game.
He leaned into it. I got hit by more pitches than most.
You live in Florida? Yeah, and the Rays are a great team. They went to the World Series like 3 times in the last, 5-6 years or some
He
shit?
also led the league in innings pitched,
And
because
nobody
Scherzer
went.
was
Literally no one went to the
refusing
Rays
come out
games.
of games. In September, against the Marlins, Scherzer had given up 2 runs. There was a runner on second in the 7th inning. His manager, Matt Williams, came out to check on him. Scherzer didn't even give him a chance
He
to
said the Rays
speak.
are a great team?
Screamed that
They were
he
in the World
wanted it,
Series
and
like
Matt Williams
2 years
walked
ago when the
away
Lightning
in
first won the
literally
Stanley
2
Cup.
seconds. Scherzer would get out of the inning 2 pitches
Not
later.
first, like,
In
most recently.
2017, Dusty Baker
second-
came out to the mound to take
Not the most
Scherzer out
recent,
of
the one
game.
before
It was
this one.
The 8th inning, he had already thrown 109 pitches, and Manny Machado was coming to the plate. Scherzer stared him down and said, "I f***ing got him." So Dusty left him in. 4 pitches later, he got Machado to pop out. According to his teammate Sean Doolittle, in 2019, Scherzer was already pissed off all day because he had to wear dark-colored uniforms on a hot day game. It was the 8th inning. Scherzer had just struck out his 14th batter of the game and had thrown 117 pitches, which to that point was more pitches thrown by a pitcher all season. Davey Martinez, concerned with his pitch count, walked out to take him out of the game.
There's not a whole lot of
Scherzer screamed
psychopath
no
energy left.
before he
Now
could
it's just him being a good player. All the psychopath shit was front loaded. Yeah, he definitely does look the part. That looks like the kind of man you'd see in jail and just run away from. He's probably killed someone. Finish it? Why? It's just a bunch of his stats and all, like, how incredible he is. Which is cool, but I'm not like a baseball. Morbius trailer? Is that? Oh, wait. Who's playing Morbius? It's a big actor, right? Oh, it's Jared Leto. I'll check it out. No, I haven't seen it. I saw the first Morbius trailer where he, like, limps out of a cave or something and he's like, ah! I saw that one.
I am a doctor.
Let me give sub Raul.
I should have died years ago. People all over the world have my disease. I'm here to find a cure. We have to push the...
I don't know dick about the Morbius character.
If you're gonna run, do it now.
Into tier 1 stable and tier 1 brunette go.
When you're alone.
What did you do to yourself, Doctor?
I wish I knew. I went from dying to being more alive than ever.
It worked.
Not exactly. I have increased strength and speed. Some form of bat radar. What else can I do?
The other half wants to control you.
Hey, Dr. Mike, you and I should stay in touch.
I mean, this is a pretty generic trailer. Nothing too crazy here. And again, I don't know what I was expecting.
You save lives, you don't take them. Are you here to heal the world? Or to destroy it?
Nice. Alright. I have zero thoughts on that. I don't really know the Morbius character. I mean, the trailer's pretty fucking normal. I don't know, man. Every superhero trailer is like the exact same thing. I feel like it's just some kind of AI where you just take some footage and then it'll just make the exact same trailer every time for you, so you don't have to hire editors for it. We already watched this. We already saw the side talk Coney Island, man. We watched it last time. I don't know if I've seen this one, but I've seen this one.
Who's the president? Byron. Who? Byron. Say what's up to Byron. What's up, Byron? I'm the boardwalk king. Let's see a spell.
He really is the boardwalk king.
The concrete, motherfucker. Oh! Hey, yo, I'm Coney Island's finest over here with the other Coney Island's finest. We doing things right, you hear me? And we knocking niggas' grandmothers off they fucking skates, you heard? Bing bong. What I'm saying, right her fucking socks, you hear me? If you see this hard hat at your crib, just know I made her ribs, you hear me? Joe Byron, here I am, I'm nobody, but
so
I'm somebody in the Lord.
This is the same people from last time.
Hold on.
Coney Island,
what
nigga.
You do?
Pain.
What?
Pain.
What's your name?
Pain.
I'm trying to tell you one thing this summer, don't die for free.
This one's not as wild as the other one. The other one was a full adventure. This one felt more like an interview. The other one had that guy spraying cars with a fire hydrant. That one was just more like, I'll hang out for a sec and talk to my friends. I don't know why I keep saying emo cringe compilation. I don't think this is going to be anything worthwhile, but we'll look. Anything that says cringe compilation, I already know is going to be trash. This? An hour and 20 minutes of this? These are actual kids, bro. What am I looking for? Oh, Jesus Christ, it's this guy. There's no justice in the world. He's very popular on TikTok now. I saw that the other day. This is the guy that cheated on his girlfriend and then made like a apology video where he forgot to say I'm sorry and he just kind of like blamed her. He's like, yeah, I wanted to just fuck in the bathroom because my girlfriend was a bitch. And he's doing well. This just seems like a bunch of kids. Worst rave ever. Oh, the brony one? Or is there another one? I mean, this one's a classic for sure, but is there like another one that you wanted me to see? Because I'm sure we've all seen this. No, this is an internet classic. Was there a different one you wanted me to see? I've seen this thing like at least 5 or 6 times.
Honest with me. Do you want me here next year? That's what I'm fucking talking about.
Look up worst DJs again. Okay. God damn it. I don't think there'll ever be another rave as beautiful as this one, unfortunately. That was just like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Which one? It's been a long time. I don't know which ones we've seen and which ones... Well, this is helpful. It still has the watch bar on it. Let's see this. Is there some downside in Yeetus? Yeah! He's using the Force. We already did FIFA Rage. I don't know if we needed the replay. Yeah! Now we're fucking feeling it. Hey, G Park vs. Charles.
Release of Reveal in 2017. Can you guess which artist this is?
So there's a competition? This seems fun. The compilation. Making it on stream because I was telling people that most of them, almost all of them, are fake, and nobody fucking believed me until Sunny V2 posted his video on it. Now I've been vindicated. But yeah, I still haven't seen his video yet. He came out with real evidence and explanation. Man, suck the dirtiest part of my ass. I came at you with voice crack with real evidence and explanation, but you guys didn't want to hear it at the time. I brought up like 3 different videos showing the aftermath of primitive building videos where someone bought like 10 acres of property and there was like multiple locations where they made those like underground primitive swimming pools and shit, and you could actually see construction equipment, tire tracks and all of that, and you guys were like, no, those are just naturally occurring jungle tire tracks. Like, I came at you with evidence and you still didn't believe me. There, yeah, you know what, we'll check out the Sunny video now, and then I'm gonna play some Warframe, I think, or maybe go down another rabbit hole and play some Warframe.
Almost every single primitive building channel is underpinned by countless different lies, and we've got tons of evidence to prove it.
Goddamn right we do.
Now we need to put an emphasis on the fact that this is most primitive building channels, and certainly not all of them. After sifting through forum post upon forum post about the ways in which these primitive builders lie, in order to generate sometimes up to 500 million views per video, users...
That channel name is so shameless, Mr. Tfue. Is it supposed to like capitalize off Tfue being a popular YouTuber in the algorithm? I'm actually not super familiar with this one. Was that the idea behind it? You said that last time, did I? I don't even remember that one. There's so many of these channels, they all blend together. They're all fucking fake.
Users continued to mention one name over and over, crediting him as legitimate amongst the sea of phonies. Primitive Technology.
Yep.
The 10.4 million subscriber channel, which is run by an Australian named John Plant, basically invented the primitive construction genre, all the way down to the sound design of silence mixed with rainforest noises, with Primitive Technology even stating in a Reddit AMA that originally it was out of laziness in not putting narration in the videos, but then the silent format became popular, so I kept it that way. When going back to the beginning of these silent, relaxing videos, it becomes pretty obvious as to why they're credited.
If Sunny plays the same videos I played in my evidence, I'm gonna be tight.
Primitive Technology cuts no corners and shows how each stage of the construction is completed legitimately. For example, when examining his very first video, he shows the axe head being sharpened, a log then being cut by the axe, then the logs being crafted together in a way that feels realistic. All of this is accompanied by specific captions explaining what's going on in that very moment, alongside a full description of the build, all the way down to how long the construction process took. His builds never include swimming pools or anything over the top, yet feel impressive as they seem to be on the cutting edge of what is and isn't possible to build by hand. The legitimacy of some of his more impressive builds, such as this brick hut, can be supported by YouTube comments such as this one, legit.
Yeah, Primitive Technology is real. Again, this follows the same format as everything else on the internet. Someone comes out, does something super impressive, legitimately, and a lot of other people will try and do it as quickly as possible to cut as many corners as possible to try and capitalize off it. It happens everywhere, so it's not like it's surprising that it happened with primitive technology. But yeah, he's legitimate, 100%.
Authentic guy from a
tier 1
personal
guilty shark
standpoint.
tier 1
All
high
of this
quality.
is incredibly important to understand, as Primitive Technology's videos set a baseline for what should and shouldn't be achievable in a natural setting. Additionally, Primitive Technology has been kind enough to provide us with a statement, which will be referred to as we look at the channels on the other end of the spectrum, also known as the fakers. The fundamental problem with the genre is that, with so much time between camera cuts, there's plenty of time to set things up illegitimately. And with Primitive Technology's very first video receiving over 44,000 Reddit upvotes and 30 million views, it's no surprise that copycats with less integrity began to pop up left, right, and center. On these channels, the buildings were taller, the slides were longer, and the water was suspiciously more blue.
And it's a weird blue color. Why is it so blue? Probably because they're probably spilled dye in or something. There's no reason for it to look so blue like that.
Even more interestingly, almost all of these channels range from the exact same area, being Cambodia, Thailand, or Vietnam, yet often geotag the United States, claim to be living in the United States, and have their Social Blade country set to the United States. The overall production
I don't even see why that would help
these
them.
channels is arguably far more impressive than the
What's
OG
the benefit?
Primitive Technology, to the point where you have to ask yourself, are they really creating these structures out of mud and sticks? Well, when you do a little bit of research, the answer to this question is most certainly no. The best evidence for this is found when looking at a 5 million subscriber channel called Primitive Technology Idea, whose failure to cover up the ways in which they fake their videos make them almost comical to watch. Take for example this episode titled Building Underground Water Maze, Crocodile to the Secret Underground House and Swimming Pool, in which the first shot shows 2 men digging on the surface, then in the next frame they're in an 8-foot deep trench. Now, if they're digging this deep with sticks, how are they avoiding large rocks and potential tree roots from, you know, the massive line of trees seen just behind them? Are they being assisted by large machinery? Well,
No,
we'll get to
they're
that
just
in a little
very
bit,
strong.
but first, let's focus on the idea that it's only 2 people doing these impressively large primitive construction projects. If that's what they were attempting to portray, it probably would have been best not to include the clip where a guy in a white t-shirt can be seen working on the project in the background. Yet if
No, that's just their cameraman. He's also using sticks over there in order to whittle out just a little stubborn branch is all.
Yet if it were just these 3 guys, that still wouldn't be that bad. However, further evidence suggests that they have far more help than this. At the start of the week, a community post was made on this channel in the hope that someone who had worked with one of these primitive builders would be willing to share their experience in doing so. We received countless emails which were all super helpful, yet one email stood out as being incredibly unique. That email was incredibly from one of the cameramen who works for one of these larger Southeast Asian primitive building channels. His name and the channel he works for have both been blurred out, as it'd be a little unfair for him to get in trouble for simply trying to help out, but the email began by stating, as you may have suspected, it's not as streamlined as the video would suggest. It is a large operation, as you may suspect, with a large team.
I'm shocked.
After he then offered to answer any questions we had about their channel, we attempted to figure out how many different people will work on the actual construction part of the project from start to finish, to which he would respond, it is depending on the scale of the project, but no less than 12 or more, before going on to explain that within his team, there is a director for the acting done. There is also a hired architect to obviously make sure the structure will not collapse and will last long enough to film in, and obviously afterwards many editors are involved. In case an email from someone who works
So it's a pretty legitimate operation.
isn't enough evidence, it's time to introduce a different channel called Photo Expression,
Tier
who
1
incredibly
coffee,
stumbled
evil.
upon one of these primitive construction sites before capturing over 8 minutes of footage with a drone. We'll refer to
So you guys believe it when he puts this in his video? I pulled this exact fucking thing up in my rant on these things being fake. But now that he puts it in his video, you guys believe him? That is actually hurtful. That actually hurts my fucking feelings. This is what I was talking about. This guy purchased a large property of land, and on that land there was a lot of builds on it. So he took a drone, flew through, and showed the aftermath, and in some of the shots you can actually just see like literal tire tracks. That actually just hurts my feelings, I'm not gonna lie.
different parts of this footage throughout our video, but for now it can answer the question of how many people are really working on these sites. There's initially a clip where 8 different workers can be seen standing around a rectangular hole in the jungle, followed by another grainier clip from a far distance where somewhere between 7 and 10 people can be seen building a swimming pool. If they were honest about how many people were working on each project, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it should be noted that some of these videos specifically state in the description that I've been working hard with my 2 friends about 100 days days to completely build, when in reality, it's a whole team working for only 3 to 10 days depending on the project, as mentioned in the email response from the cameraman. So if they're being untruthful about the time period as well as how many people are working on each project, what else are they lying about? Well, how about the incredible fire pits that they seem to create effortlessly? Going back to the statement made to us by Primitive Technology, he seemed to imply that maybe the fire making in their videos was fake. It's hardly surprising that he brought this up, as when you compare his meticulous method of creating fire in the wild to the fire making of these Southeast Asian primitive channels, as mentioned previously, it becomes comical. They slap a couple of rocks together before beginning an explosive
well, they just
fire
have
on
better
large logs
rocks
with no kindling whatsoever. John went on to state that if they've faked simpler things, then they're most certainly faking more complicated ones, which turns out to be true, as when looking at another video by Primitive Technology Idea, it becomes obvious that not only are these guys faking simple things such as fire, these guys are also faking the most labor-intensive exercise of all, the digging process itself. This video with over 63 million views begins as most do. A shirtless guy draws a big circle and begins to dig it out. Only in the next frame, suddenly there's spray paint on the ground that they forgot to rub out. Additionally, on the wall of the hole, these long smooth cuts can be seen, which are completely incomparable to the cuts being made by the stick.
No, he's using a bigger stick for those.
Turns out
obviously.
Spray paint marks weren't the only thing that they forgot to rub out, as in the minutes that
Tire
follow,
tracks.
excavated tracks can be seen here, here, and here.
So now you guys believe these are real tire tracks? Interesting. Weird. You guys just think I'm some kind of big fucking bumbling idiot who doesn't know what fucking excavator tracks look like. Fascinating.
Different video by the same channel, the same person can be seen working very hard digging out a similar hole, which to their credit contains no excavator tracks around it. One mistake they did make, however, was that they forgot to take the actual excavator out of the top right hand corner. According to the email sent to us by the cameraman on one of these channels.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure I pulled up that same video and even I didn't notice the actual excavator was there. Yeah, well, you know, I hit more times than I missed in my evidence. But that would have been a really compelling piece for me, I think, I'm not gonna lie.
Right-hand corner. According to the email sent to us by the cameraman on one of these channels, approximately 70% of the digging is completed by machinery, whilst 30% is completed by hand, given how much of the work lies in simply digging. But men still do plenty of digging. As you may guess, in small underground spaces, it is impossible to fit a skid steer loader in the hole. Most of the actual construction is done by a hired team of specialized builders from my understanding, and they work with only intrinsic tools. The dirt is removed by skid steer loaders and offloaded elsewhere, and skid steer loaders are used in the initial boring process, whilst incrementally we film the builders doing superficial works on the hole.
I would have never
The video
imagined
in
it
which
was
the excavator
this
can be seen in
big of
plain
an
sight,
industry,
then
though.
goes on to strangely display the collection of concrete from a river, which is the exact same clip reused from the previous video. Now, why would they reuse the same clip twice in two different videos? Well, it's because collecting concrete from a river is completely and utterly bogus. Concrete doesn't grow in a river, according to a civil engineer who had commented on one of these videos. Earth cement
I wouldn't
is
even known.
incredibly fake. Cement requires a precise combination of different raw materials and then receives considerable heat treatment in order to make the powder we all know and love / hate. What's even funnier is that every single one.
I guess even that would fool me. I'm not smart enough to know, like, if you can make cement from a river, like river dirt. So that's something I would absolutely overlook too. And I think it's important to note that even though it is clearly confirmed these are all fake except Primitive Technology and maybe a couple others, it's not going to affect them. People are still going to watch even knowing that because they just watch it for that comfort feeling like, oh, this is so satisfying. Oh, look at how cool that giraffe in the pool is. So it's not exactly going to hurt them, but it's at least nice that people will now finally know for sure that the shit is fake and stop trying to pretend that it's not. Thanks to Tier 1, Rika in the Prime, Wake in the resub, Soft, Tegu, Kevlock, Koalin in the Prime, Koss and 5 gift subs, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Clay is, but not like cement, like in Primitive Technology. Ah, gotcha. The WWE of primitive building. Yeah, honestly, at this point, I would go like full-blown showmanship here and just make it really entertaining. They should have storylines where like there's a rival builder or like an evil construction man who comes by and tries to like tear their house down or something that they have to fight. I get
One
real
of these
wild with
channels
it.
has their own unique
Lean
method for
into it.
creating natural concrete. This channel's concrete is simply a mix of dirt and water, which, if you think about it for 2 seconds, doesn't create concrete and rather creates muddy water or mud, which is just dirt after the water dries. This other channel
That's all
gets
we
a
need.
bit more creative with it by taking a chunk out of a termite nest, grinding it down into powder, mixing it with water, then concreting an entire pool with this small chunk of termite nest. Yet neither of these compare to the fakest channel of them all, Primitive Technology Life, which decides to just skip the concrete altogether and go with good old rocks and dirt. However, that's not the only suspicious thing about this shot. You'll notice when looking at the bamboo that each branch has a suspiciously clean cut on the end. Compare this to Primitive Technology, the legitimate channel from Australia, who in one video displays what the end of a log should actually look like, and you'll notice pretty quickly that these pieces of bamboo weren't naturally cut on site. These pieces of bamboo weren't either, which, as displayed in the video, were attached together then used to siphon water from a river to the pool. Only there was no river. Photo Expression found the exact site of this pool, then stated in his video that in reality, the closest water source was more than 6 kilometers away. Instead, he found a bunch of blue plastic piping attached to a tap in the ground. Going back to the email from the cameraman, the water for their channel just comes in cubic containers that is transported there. A very funny part is any scene where you see them sourcing water from some magnificent waterfall or lake, they're actually going somewhere perhaps hundreds of kilometers away and pretending to take it back. The video in which Photo Expression...
This camera guy seems so nice. Like, he just seems like such a jolly guy. Just like actively making fun of them while still working for them. That's the dream job right there.
The video in which Photo Expression had stumbled upon various completed primitive builds also showed that after these channels are finished building, the sites are simply left to rot. This video doesn't speak for every Southeast Asian primitive building channel, but in this particular case, rubbish was left everywhere, including, as you might guess, cement bags. The fact that the videos are fake isn't the most concerning, it's the destruction of the land that's concerning. Now, if this was public rainforest, you could probably consider this a pretty big deal, but according to the cameraman's email, at least on their channel, every build is done on privately owned land, which is leased for the purposes of the video. If this is the case, maybe Photo Expression is in the wrong for snooping around and filming on someone else's property. We're kidding, of course, but if the builds are being completed on privately owned land, it's a little narcissistic to comment on what they should and shouldn't do with it. Primitive Technology, the original legitimate Australian channel, put it best in his email to us when he said, "My advice to people who really want to know if the techniques on display are legitimate is to put them into practice and see. If you can follow the steps and get a similar result, then it's probably legit." He added that these
Zero people are going to do that.
Motivated by money and status
Actually,
alone,
zero.
rather than a true interest in primitive technology. But wanting to stay out of internet drama, we'll leave it up to the discerning viewer to decide what's real and what's not.
Nice. Well, that's a big I told you so moment for me there. Thank you, Sonny. I've been vindicated. All of those fake primitive building channels are probably all owned by the same company who just outsources it to multiple channels to try and get the most juice for the squeeze, which is why you see so many like variations of the same name, like Primitive Technology Idea, Primitive Technology Life. Mr. Tifu's kind of an anomaly. That one kind of comes out of nowhere and getting real wild, but I really do think it's probably like one company that does it, which is why they're all so